All right, this is the setup for the small scale motorized gate crossing. Today we're going to be installing just one HO crossing. And if you've purchased a prior kit, you'll know that you'll notice there's a few differences. But if you're new, uh, just follow along and it'll be great. So here's the gate crossing. There's no wire installed right now, it's just free. And there's a short little wire and a plug. Now, uh, be very careful not to pull on this wire. There's a good chance that it could pull out the wires from the LEDs. And later on, you'll see when we plug this into the motor, if the motor falls off, it's possible that this plug, which is connected to the motor, could drop and pull this out. And we'll point out a place where you can attach the other wire assembly to prevent that from happening. But just be careful with this assembly and pulling it out. We've done everything we can. We have some shrink wrap here. We've glued inside, but it's still treated delicately. All right. Okay. So two major components of this. One is the gate controller itself. I have a power module set up here. Outputs 12 volts DC. If you have 12 volts DC from some other source, maybe a bus line going around your layout, that's perfectly fine. Do not use a variable power source. So for example, do not use a train transformer. Even if it has a DC 12 volt output, use a separate DC only output. All right, here's the cool part about this. So this is the motor casing, the wheel. There's a small magnet inside here, and there's a magnet up here. And oh, by the way, before we even begin all of that, make yourself one of these little kits. This is about 3 inches by 5 inches, and drill a 5/8 inch hole in it, sand it off nicely. You will really appreciate making this for both setting up your crossing setup and testing it and making sure everything's fine. And if you need to recalibrate, trying to do this under the layout or on top of the layout, just you're asking for trouble. So that's and when people write back to us, they say, yeah, that was the smartest thing we did. So anyway, just take some plywood, glue it together. I've already assembled the magnet pad under here, and the magnet, the motor is going to attach like that and move, and you can move it around. Now it's loose, and we're going to show you one add to this, but the idea is that it should be loose and it can come off a little bit, because if the motor and the actuator pushes against the gate and it's stuck, in other words, it's trying to force the gate out, rather than breaking the gate as kind of a fail-safe, it'll loosen up and it won't fall off, so it'll try to snap back, but it prevents the gate from breaking. The other thing is, after you've drilled out this 5/8 hole, take some sandpaper and sand the inside so it's nice and smooth. And the reason for that is, and if you can, work it out on your layout so that the plug goes into the hole and has just, whoops, there we go, has a little bit of play. It can move up and down, again, to prevent it from breaking the arm system off. It just gives you a little bit of a kind of a circuit breaker. So if you can work that out and keep that, when it's normally running and just putting the arm out, it'll just sit nice and plumb there. All right, so we'll get back to that in a minute. I want to point out some other things on the motor again. This magnet on top attaches it. This is the wheel that will turn around, and very inside there you can see a series of holes. Okay, now one of the big improvements in this version versus the first version is that we have a little sensor here that the magnet trips, and that tells us when the wheel hole, the top hole, is at top dead center. In the past, if the power went off, the motor would lose track of where it was, where now we have a positive absolute top dead center sensor, and that will make your life a lot easier. If the power goes off in the middle, of the arm going up or down, don't worry about it. When the power comes back up, the gate will go to the top dead center and be ready to go from there. We also took advantage of, since we had to make a little circuit board here, we added 2 sockets. One is for, there are 2 connectors here, and we'll show you that in a minute. And then this one on the side is where the flasher lights from the gate actually plug in here. Before we had a really long cord similar to this, and that's increased the risk of pulling the wires out of the light. Now, one of the things about this is um, you may, when we put the wire in, you'll see in a minute that we're going to make it very close, but it won't be perfect. And so what we did is we designed this loosening the screw. So this piece here, this gray piece on the bottom, can slide back and forth from left to right. And the reason for that is that in the final step, we can adjust mechanically where the top dead center is, so that the arm that's coming up to the top, it's where we want it. And once we've got that set, we'll just tighten the screw here very gently. It doesn't take it's a pressure screw. And now that thing's not going to move. All right, don't over tighten that. All right, and then here's the motor wire. So we'll just plug that in. All right, so screws on the back, everything we do, stainless steel screws here and here. Don't worry, there's no current going through these wires, so you know nothing particularly staticky or anything. I mean, if you zap it, of course, that might rub your feet across the carpet and try to touch this. That might be a problem, but otherwise, it's pretty durable, and that's the way it goes. We do, we put a little bit of lubricant on this so it slides, but after a while it dries out. So once you put the screw in and set the pressure, it's not going to move. So, all right, so let's get on to the next step. Okay, to set up things, we're going to leave this. We've got our 12-volt supply. We're going to plug that in a minute to the white jack on the left-hand side of the gate controller. The top terminal is a common. We might use that to test the trigger or the detect later on. And this is a latch, and this can be set so that two gate controllers are their lights are synchronized. And we'll get more into that a bit later. But the first thing that we want to do is connect the motor up to the cable. Now the cable can only go connected one way. Even though these look similar, on the controller end, one is a 4-pin and the other one is a 5-pin. So what we recommend is you always put the larger one in first, because the larger one won't go in the small hole. So you'll be guaranteed to get it right if you put the big one in first, followed by the little one. All right. So here's what we're going to do. This first, with the black shrink tube, this is how the motor gets connected here, and just slide it in. And what I do is I'm trying to do this with the camera here. Just hold this and pop it in. Okay. Now, you might be tempted to pull this out if you really have to. Be very gentle with it, kind of wiggle it a little bit. It will come out. We just don't want you to pull the wire, just yank it, pull the wires out. They're pretty tough. And once you get it in, really, you don't have to pull it out. There's really no reason to. Just leave it connected for life. All right, the other connector here goes in the bottom. It won't fit in this top one. That's why we want you to make the connection with the big ones first. And that's all there is to that. And the magnet and everything will hold that up. All right, these other two go to the gate controller. And the bigger one is this one this way on the left, smooth side on top, and plug that in. And this is the motor cable, just in case you're interested, and that goes in the 4-pin, and you're ready to go. All right. Now, when the gate controller, I'm going to plug it in just a second. When the gate controller goes on, it calibrates and makes sure everything is working. It talks to this device. It's got some chips inside. The light will go on, then it'll blink 5 times. And depending what the state of the motor is, it may just stop and the light go out. Now, we've set this up so that the magnet is not at the stopping point. In other words, it's not at top dead center, because we want to show you what's going to happen. All right. So I'm going to plug the controller in here, and you'll see the lights come on. All right. It'll blink. There it is. And now it turns the wheel. I think you can see that. And stops because of the sensor, and the red light goes on. So now it's at top dead center. And that means that this hole right here is the top dead center. And when we put the wire in, that's where we're going to put the mark in. Now, the hole is a little bit to the right. The wheel only goes counterclockwise to the bottom and then goes back up. If you want to adjust that top dead center after if you've got everything set up, what you can do is, as we were just pointing out, you can loosen this a little bit, slide it, you'll notice the light goes off. That means that the wheel is going to turn a little bit further. It won't do it now. What we have to do to get it to turn is we're going to, there we go. So we're going to push the button twice. That's the manual mode to make the gate go down. In this case, make the motor turn clockwise. So I'm going to push it twice, and you'll see the motor is going to go and it's going to stop right about there. Now I'm going to push it twice more, and now it will go back to the new top dead center location based on where we moved this block. All right. Now for our purposes, what I like to do is just put this in the middle. Loosen that up so that it's in the middle of this space, and just tighten it up. And that way you can move it evenly in both directions. Okay, and that's all we need to do for that. Okay, so let's get to setting up putting the actuator wire in and setting up our gate. All right, this is a close-up of the gate, and you can see that there's a hole in the arm here, and that's where we're going to put this actuator, and it's bent at a 90-degree angle. And what you do is you put it up through the slot in the bottom, and you can see it come out. All right, and notice the angle that I'm turning it. So I'm turning it counterclockwise, and oops, let's just do it there. And now I'm going to put it into that hole and continue to turn it counterclockwise. So I'm just basically going to twist it into that spot. And so now we have free play. Now, if you need to remove it, the easiest way to do that is with the little screwdriver we provide you. And you're just going to push the metal out a little bit, and it'll pop out, and you can slide it back down. So I'll show you again, putting it in, I'm rotating it, lining up the hole, twisting it a little bit, and pop, it goes in. So that's all there is to do that. And that's going to be our actuator for the arm. All right, let's put the gate into the hole and put the wire in first, and then drop the electrical wire in, and then drop it down and just pop it in like that. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we'll shift the camera angle here in a minute, but I'm going to put the motor on, and you can see that it sticks there. Now it tends to slide around a little bit, right? So what I like to do is, let's push that up a little bit. I have some cellophane double stick tape, and I'm going to put a little piece of it on the magnet. Of course, the magnet will still stick. This doesn't hold up the motor, the magnet does, but this double stick tape helps it from sliding, and just makes it a little bit easier to work with. So you just put a little bit of cellophane tape on there like that, so that particularly when you're doing this exercise and you've got the thing sideways. All right, so now what we're going to try to do is I'm going to make a mark. Let's get this wire out of the way, and I'm going to make a mark on the metal with the arm. I'm going to push the arm all the way up, and then I'm going to make a mark with a Sharpie right at the location inside here, just to the right of the hole. It's kind of hard to see in the camera, but right where the top dead center hole is, I'm going to put a dot on that piece of wire, and that's where I'm going to bend the wire. Now the wire in the gate, oops, sorry about that. The wire in the gate goes back towards the back, all right? So that's where it is in the arm. We have the motor set up, so we're going to bend it in the same direction when we take it out. Just keep an eye on the orientation. You're going to bend it back so that it goes into that hole, and I'll show you that. I'll show you the mark that I've just made. It's behind this little pin here. Depending on whether you have a 1/2 inch or 3/4, the plug may still stretch out a little bit. This is a 3/4 plug in a 1/2 inch piece of plywood, and that's why it's a little bit blocked down there. But there is a mark on the wire. We're going to take that out and bend it. All right, here you can see the mark that I made on the wire with the Sharpie, and I'm going to grab this thing right at that spot, All right, and I'm going to twist this so I've got, and I'm going to bend it away from the camera so that I get a perfect 90-degree angle. I just look off camera to make sure that's what I'm going to get. Here we go, and just bend it 90 degrees. And there we go. All right. So if you have to bend it back a little bit to make it straight, doesn't have to be perfect, but that's pretty good. Let me hold it from this side and you can see it. Now what I'm going to do is, it's too long for the motor location. So what I'm going to do is cut this at about maybe 3/4 of an inch, something like that. So there we go. And get a good pair of these wire cutters. I got these. Let's see. I could put this in the link. This is the best wire cutter. All right. If you try to use needle nose pliers, it'll work, but these are just great. They make a nice, clean, sharp cut. And so this is what the actuator wire will look like. And hopefully you can see the Sharpie mark I made on it, so it's pretty close. All right, I'm going to reinsert this into the plug here, and let's go here, go up. I'm going to turn it around so I can see what I'm doing. Put the arm up. I'm going to twist it into that hole. Oops, I got to push this down. It's too high. There we go. Let me pull this off camera so I can do it. All right, I took it off camera so I could look up close. And so now we have this piece of wire here. And it won't go straight down into the hole because this is wider than 5/8, but there's enough play in here that you can just put the wire down through and then at an angle, go down with the metal and then rotate it, and it'll just pop into place like that. Okay, so now we have that much of the system, and you can see why having this little platform makes a whole lot of sense. All right, so I'm going to turn this around, the whole assembly, because that's the way my motor is oriented. So there's the pad underneath, and this is going to push the arm. Let's do it this way, push the arm up and down. Okay, so all right, so the next thing is, I think that I need to cut this further because the motor should be about there. So I'm going to cut another maybe 1/4 of an inch off of that wire. There we go. All right, so I just made it a little shorter. And now this is really the easy part. So once you've got this on your layout and you put that back in the hole, you're going to have to go under the layout. And this is where it's actually pretty easy, because what you want to do is, first of all, this is at top dead center, right? It's the red light is on. We're going to put this into that top hole. Just push it in there a little bit and snap it into place. Push it, sort of move it around so it's sort of in the middle of that right there. Maybe move it over a little bit to the right. Okay, and guess what? We've got this all set up, and the crossing is at the top dead center. And now what we're going to do, when you do this the first time, what I want you to do is reset the controller so that we have top dead center recognized, and the gate calibration is going to be at halfway down. Whether it's N scale or HO, it's not going to go all the way down, and that's intentional. So I'm going to press this 13 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And the light will flash, telling me I'm in the reset mode. I have this at top dead center. Now, all I have to do now is, in manual mode, just press the button twice, 1, 2. The motor will activate, and the arm will come down maybe about halfway, not even halfway in this case. Now, that's fine, because that's all we want to do for the time being to get started. And now the easy part is using the trim wheel here. So the trim wheel on the controller is centered when the white part is completely visible. I'm going to move it in the left position, and you can see the arm going up. Whoops. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit here. All right. So I'm going to move it to the right position. You can see there's a little black exposed. And notice the arm is going down very slowly. So I'm going to keep this in the position until I get the arm exactly where I want it. And the motor underneath is turning very slowly. I want to do this very slowly because I want to make it look and get the horizontal position. How's that? Now, if I did too much, I can go back the other way and go up. I can go down a little bit, turning the wheel back, and as soon as I'm finished, I centered the wheel, and the wheel is now centered, and that's it. You're done. So I'm going to press this twice, 1, 2, and the gate's going to go up, and you'll notice when the gate gets to top dead center, boom, the red light is on, and we are perfect. So you're done. And here's the thing. I'm going to turn the, I'm going to lower this, well, I'm going to turn the power off in the middle of this thing going down. So 2 buttons, 1, 2. And that might be a disaster. Uh-oh, the layout froze. We had a thunderstorm, whatever it is. No, not to worry. All I have to do is turn the power back on to the layout. The controller will boot up. It'll flash. We're good. And then the gate will go to top dead center. And it's ready to be triggered for by the sensors. And that's all you have to do. Now, if I wanted to adjust, as I said before, if I wanted to adjust this arm, if it was a little bit too far down, I could loosen this, slide this back and forth as I showed you a minute ago, just a little bit at a time, tighten it, and then cycle the arm. So make it go down. And you might have to adjust this once or twice, just as the mechanicals get adjusted. See if we can get that arm to go up. There we go. Maybe, yeah. So it sits in place. Okay, now let's close it down. Okay, it's going to go up to top dead center. And if I had moved this, maybe it had gone a little bit less and stopped. In fact, let's do that so you can see the effect. So I'm going to loosen this up, and the motor will not move unless you activate it. So even if the sensor goes off, so I'm going to move it to the left, which will still have the light on, but now next time it will stop, not quite at top dead center. So let's cycle it, 1, 2. So it's going to go down, and the down position might be a little different. No, not bad. Okay, we'll go back to the up position. Top dead center, and you'll see that the light might stop a little sooner. Yeah, so the gate is not quite perfectly vertical as it was before. You might like it like that. So again, you could adjust this according to your own interests, and I'm going to slide it back to where we had it before. Very gently, just tighten the screw, maybe a couple of turns. And now what we're going to do, see if I can do it that way. I'll need 2 hands to do this, is I'm going to plug in the lights. So only plug the lights in after you're done with this, because if you knock the motor off, you don't want to be tugging it. So plugging in the lights is the last thing to do. All right, so let's go and try it here. 1, 2, and there we go. Flashing lights, and it'll stay flashing. Let me adjust it while we're down. By the way, you can only adjust the arm when it's in the down position. In the up position, it won't do anything. All right, and now I'm going to go 1, 2. Beautiful. And that's all there is to it. All right. So if you need to do maintenance on it, go in the reverse order of what we just showed you. Disconnect this wire here and then work with the motor. Now, after you've done this, what I suggest you do is you get an eye hook and screw it into the base somehow here, a little round eye hook, and take a piece of string or wire and hook the cable and wrap it around so it's connected to the eye hook, and make sure this cable is probably, as short as you can, because then if the motor falls off, let's pull the motor off, it will hang by that, but it won't pull on the flasher light motor. All right, so let's put this back in. Okay, and push this down, twist it around, straighten it out. There we go. Whoops, sorry, out of camera. Let's go. There we go. And now we're ready to go. So we just press our button twice. So some other things we did, we changed the speed and the frequency of the motor, sort of technical things. So it's very smooth now. And that is how the installation works. Now, there's some other videos that go into more detail about hooking up the detectors and synchronizing sound and syncing. If you have more than one flasher, there's a way to connect two of these together with a wire, and that way the lights will flash at the same pace, and the left will go with the left and the right with the right. And so that's an option. You don't have to do that. It's just a visual improvement if that's what you like. All right, so that's it for installing the motorized gate crossing.